Hello, everybody. This is Vivian Xavier, and I'm with Cinego Shorts, and this is Music on the Move 2021. Today, my guest is Shallum Xavier. He's the co-founder and the lead guitarist of Fusion, the very famous fusion rock band in Pakistan. And without further ado, let's go ahead. Hello,
Hi,
Shallum. How are you doing today?
absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. How are you? I like your hair. I forgot to tell you that.
Oh,
I just noticed.
thank
Very
you,
cool. Very nice.
thank you. Um, so we all know that you're the lead guitarist of the famous band Fusion. Um, but yeah, just give me a little bit about yourself and what else you've been doing other than Fusion as well.
So I've been playing since I was, say, 10 years old. Fusion started when I was 21. And before Fusion, I had like 10 years of a lot of different collaborations, working in almost all the studios that were there in Karachi and other parts of Pakistan. I was one of the leading session musician. And by that, a lot of people are not aware by the term session musician is someone that is like hired help in the music industry. So you should be good enough to play anything at any given point at any studio. I was lucky enough because I practiced a lot, and I sort of got into a lot of different forms of music, played with a lot of people. So that's how actually Fusion began, because myself and the other founding member, who's Imran Imu, we were actually almost living in the same vicinity, and we were practicing music almost 8 to 10 hours a day. And a lot of people don't know that even before Fusion, we were 10 years together as musicians playing for different people. And that's how the idea emerged. One day we were sitting in a studio, and out of just, utter frustration, I just sat next to him, who's telling him that, for the last 8 years, we've been recording music for other people, giving our compositions to other people, which they release. And we couldn't get paid a little amount, which was fine at that time. Money was not an issue because we were really happy with whatever we were getting. We were enjoying the whole scenario of being in a studio and being session musicians. But I realized that it's time to do something else, and I had a little chat with him. And then I think I was at that point in the middle of being a session musician in the studio, as well as a musician on stage with people like Najm Shiraz, who were at that time extremely established acts of Pakistan, Hadiga Kiani. So I was enjoying my time on stage. I was enjoying my time touring, but at the back of my mind, this kept building up that I need to do something of my own, because I knew that my compositions and the music that I play would, if not create an impact, have some sort of an influence, at least over the music listeners who listen to music quite keenly. So Fusion started with Imu meeting Shafkat at his studio, Imu introducing me to Shafkat. We started creating songs. Um, it was a great chemistry, because when things happen in a studio, you don't have to make too much of an effort. Shafkat came with his legacy, his background, his years of training, his experience. Imu had a lot of experience. I was gaining experience. uh, so this was, if I'm not mistaken, the only band in Pakistan at that time, and even now, that had musicians who were already in the music industry and did not make the band just to you know get some fame or glory. We just made the band because three of us just wanted ourselves out there, not just as session musicians, but as ourselves. So that is how Fusion started, and then rest is history.
Mm, it is. It is. What I want to talk about now is the mix of Western and Eastern. You can correct me if I'm wrong over here, but was it the first band that actually attempted that, and why did you attempt that?
So yes, the kind of sophistication that was added to the Eastern music, we were the first band, because before that it was just Sufi music. There was no classical, pure Eastern classical music, which by the way is not Eastern classical, it's actually Indian classical. But since we live in Pakistan and we don't want to take the name India or Indian, we call it Eastern classical. So whoever says that it's Eastern classical music, it's actually Indian classical, because East also has the Middle East, and we don't play that kind of music. So growing up in Pakistan, it's natural that you get exposure to a lot of Indian Bollywood music. Along with that, you also get exposure to a lot of classical music, which are these primitive, ancient scales that have been there for thousands and thousands of years, being practiced and played in Pakistan and India. And it's a natural inclination for someone who's born in South Asia to get some sort of an influence or get inspired by those rags, because our ancestors have been listening to those things for a very long time. And it's not just entertainment, it's pure art, it's history, because these scales were made and put together many years ago, like thousands and thousands of years ago. I, at one point, while I was playing with Najim Shiraz, was introduced to so many different classical singers. I was into a lot of Western rock, up to an extent that I started listening to a lot of heavy metal music, being a guitar player, and I still listen to that. I still have people don't believe me that people, for guitar players, a lot of people think that you slowly get mellow and you listen to jazz and blues. I appreciate that, but if I want to enjoy my day, I put on my headphones and I listen to Iron Maiden. I listen to bands like Judas Priest. I love that sound.
Mm.
It gives me a lot of energy. So I was listening to that music, and then I got introduced to this, and then I brought that whole idea to fusion. And we were lucky enough to get the legacy, the history, the training, the voice of Shafkat, and that whole thing just gelled so well, because I think, without even saying it out loud, we all had this idea that we must fuse these two forms in the best manner, because even to fuse classical music coming out of India and Pakistan, you need some years behind you in terms of experience, because it's not
Mm.
easy. You need to understand each and every note, then put it under those chords, and you have to create those chords. You need to have the intent, you need to have the exposure, and you have to experience and the practice to put all of those different elements, those components of those scales together. And luckily, at that time, we had that experience, and when we put it together, it just gelled well.
So, do you think that if you and Imran and Shafkat, if you had not had that training or that experience, because by that time you were, like you said, you and Imran were both um pretty experienced in session as session musicians. Do you think if you guys did not have that, fusion would just not have been the success it was?
I absolutely believe in that, because our music, if you listen to it and people have heard the music carefully, uh, it's actually laid down in a very professional manner. The chordal structure, the melody, the guitars, because not only we had this experience of music, we were also training ourselves to be audio engineers, music producers, because at that time you didn't have schools and colleges teaching you how to use your cables, how to understand different signals, what are reverbs, what how to record. So it was just one after the other, a different world opening up to both of us. And I think we it helped us now in what we're doing now, because if we didn't have that training and if we didn't train ourselves, we wouldn't have been doing what we're doing now. So with fusion, both of us started our own production setup, um, and which gave us a lot of learning in terms of audio engineering, the technical side of music making. So I think we were both technically very sort of aware, also wanting to learn more, both in terms of music and the music technology that is used to record music. And that's the reason why we recorded the entire album ourselves. We did not need
Oh wow.
yeah, we did not. Imu's elder brother was alive at that time, so he helped us record. But most of the recording were done by Imu and myself, because we knew how to record and put things together. So that helped. I mean, that helped to up to an extent that now, in this crazy world that we live in, I work by myself and I don't get bored. I enjoy it. I mean, I think
So,
I, so sorry to interrupt. I was having this casual conversation with you, and I told you that, I just go out for a walk and I come back, I lock the door, I turn on the AC, and I am here all day. I work. This is my workstation. If I get bored, I watch some TV, I go to the
Mhm.
kitchen and I eat, and
So,
I have no complaints.
that's your workstation and your PlayStation.
Yes, everything. And I enjoy the balcony also because I can see the trains come in and go out.
Mm.
And I've something I've realized, there are nice like big eagles who come and just sit here, and they just sit here
Oh yeah,
and they stare at you, by the way.
yeah. So there's one brown eagle that will. I remember when, because for the audience that doesn't know, this is also where I used to live. About 2 years ago, and the bedroom that I used to sleep in, there's an eagle outside. I used to call
Yes.
him Brownie. I call him Brownie because I would sleep at night. He would be staring at me.
Yeah,
Wake up in the
he
morning, he'd
stares.
be staring at
Yeah,
me. Yeah.
they
So
stare.
I'm glad that Brownie's still there.
I think that's the same one.
I don't know. I can't. I wouldn't be able to tell the
They're
difference.
all brown, so brownie.
But but the let's you said that you obviously you started as a session musician, but what I think a lot of people don't know is that you actually have some um, some history of music behind you because your dad, uh, my uncle, he used to play the harmonium at church as well, I think. So that thing
Yeah,
has been in our family
yeah,
for a little bit.
I don't know about church, but he is, and at that time was extremely into music. He used to come back from work, and I remember he used to sit us down. Simeon was not born at that time, so he had a small keyboard and a harmonium. The three of us, my two sisters and myself, he and he used to sing for all of us.
Yeah,
So come
yeah.
back, change, take a shower, and used to sing for everyone. So I think that
Mm.
that's probably it. It's in me.
Yeah, I think it is. I've got pictures. I've got pictures of those, especially for the for concerts that he played for in church. Yeah,
Okay,
so
please
we
send them
got
to me.
pictures.
Yeah,
That's
I
yeah,
would
that's
have.
definitely something. Yeah, that's definitely something that I just taken care of.
I
But
have pictures of me walking out of church during a service.
I think that's burned into pretty much everyone's memory. But let's not go there. Let's not go there. Moving forward to Fusion being this phenomenal success, we had one of the most famous songs and one of the most famous music videos ever coming, from the band, which is Kamaj. Big success, and then you started touring. You and the band members, they went, because from what I know, you would often go to Norway. You would tour in the rest of the world. Um, and then most recently, I think it was last year, where you also had a collaboration with musicians from Bangladesh.
Yep.
But there's a there's so many years in between that, and so let's talk about what happened with the music scene, and also with the collaborations. How did you end up going to Norway?
Hmm.
How did you end up collaborating with them, and what's been the most important lesson you've learned, with that collaboration as a musician and as an artist?
So the collaboration with the Norwegian musicians started, I think, in 2006 or seven, during the time when President Musharraf was in power. So if people don't know, Pervez Musharraf was a military leader, like the head of military, who had a military coup and became the president of Pakistan, which was the best time for music, arts, and overall Pakistan. And we got a lot of attention, not only in Pakistan but the rest of the world, because there was a narrative being disseminated amongst the people of Pakistan and all of the world, that Pakistan has become quite a tolerant and liberal society because it was stemming down from the top. Musharraf was completely focused in portraying Pakistan as a progressive nation, and it helped musicians like us. So Musharraf himself, when he was the president, he encouraged Telenor Norway, because Telenor is a Norwegian company. It's a self what is it called, service provider, right? Cell phone service provider.
Yeah, cell phones. Yeah, cellular service.
So they were invited to Pakistan, and one of the event management companies that was hired by the Pakistani presidency got in touch with us and a couple of other bands, and we had to send our music to be selected to be a part of this collaboration. So we were lucky. Our first album was heard by these Norwegian musicians who liked it, and they said that they were like 4 or 5 different bands. I will not name them. So we were chosen, selected to play. We were called to Islamabad. Extremely amazing time. It was like a dream. I wish one day, uh, if I get the opportunity to write something down, or maybe have the money to make a movie, I would definitely make it on the journey of fusion, how we started and how we ended up going to different parts of the world. So we were called to Islamabad to stay in one of the best hotels, and we knew that the collaboration is going to happen. We were supposed to meet the Norwegian musicians. I was uh, I was almost leading the band at that time because before starting Fusion, I had the exposure of touring and collaborating with people with Najam Shiraz, Hadika Kiani. I was already in the motion, in the momentum, so I knew what to do and how to go about it. And it was early in the morning, and we were sitting together having breakfast at one of these hotels in Islamabad, and I saw people who did not look Pakistani from anywhere, and they were really happy to be there. And there was this band called FRYD, Freed, three women, and the idea was three women from Norway and three men from Pakistan to collaborate. Imagine what all happened. So they came, and I was the first one to sort of welcome them, because as Pakistanis, we have a lot of inhibitions, and we don't approach and present ourselves and start the conversation. I just got up, I introduced myself, and I asked them that, are you the band? And they were really happy, and we became friends. And one thing led to another, many stories that I can't share right now. But it was wonderful. We had a great time on stage. All the Pakistani officials were there, the president himself, his colleagues, the entire cabinet, people from Norway, people from Pakistan, people from Islamabad. It was such a success that after that, the Norwegian government started inviting us every year. It feels like a dream now because it happened such a long time ago. I was extremely young at that time. I think I was like 23, 24, and it was phenomenal. I mean, I have been quite lucky, I must say. Uh, there has been a lot of hard work, but a lot of people work hard. So things were happening at the right time. Maybe too much happened in like a few years. That's why Shafqat ran away. Maybe it should have happened incrementally, like 1 year, 2 years break. Then we would have stayed focused. But what a place Norway is! And you were asking what I learned. I learned that musicians can have a great life without being extremely successful in Norway. So the musicians that we were playing with were not very popular. They were not famous. Uh, and in Pakistan, to be successful, you have to be famous. In the Western world, you can live a decent life, without being extremely successful. So you can have an apartment and a car, and you can have your studio at your home. But that's the difference, because the Norwegian government supports music. They hire musicians, they have a department. I've seen those offices. We don't even have a single office of a multinational like that in Pakistan, and these are government offices for musicians. And it was just unbelievable. It was an eye opener, at the same time extremely frustrating, because we knew that the struggles and the infrastructure and the way people are here in Pakistan. uh, the government has never put any focus. Even now it's 2021, and they know that it can turn out to be a really big industry with digital collaborations and music being digitalized. But there has been no focus, because narrative keeps shifting in Pakistan. One day we are we want to be progressive and have a soft image, and the other day we are extremely towards the right and become extremely religious. So uh, my eyes opened up to a lot of different things besides music also, that the culture is quite what's the word to use, they're quite organized in everything, in life, in relationships. If someone comes to pick you up at 5:30, that person will be there at 5 o'clock with a coffee waiting for you, and they would expect you not to come at 5:30 but 5:15. So being Pakistani, the first shock was that we were asked to be up at 5:30 because the scheduling, the practices and everything was they were happening during the daytime because it used to get really cold after 3 p.m. Cold to an extent that there was no sun for days, and that was the first time that being born and raised in a city like Karachi where the sun is almost in your face all the time, you were not exposed to sunlight for 3 4 days, and it was just a strange feeling. You felt like a zombie, literally. Like your body wouldn't move. My body could not. I would just open the window and look outside for hours. So it's just these was experiences that I would have never gained if I was not, you know, with Fusion or made the band. Plus, Norwegian musicians or Norway itself, Oslo basically, has multiple festivals and events happening over the
Mm,
all over the year, and most of them were funded by the Norwegian government. Uh, that was just an amazing thing to know that a country which is not big has all the resources and emphasis on music because it's a part of their life. They don't consider it just to be an entertainment. It's very very important to them that
mm,
music is played, music is heard, music is spread. Plus they have a research team that a lot of people don't know about, that every year, twice a year, they send like a recruiter to different parts of these third world countries to find talent. So they go, they spend months there, they create a network, they talk to people, and when they come back, they come back that with that person. They bring that person to Norway, groom them, uh, fund them, and then take them on a world tour. Plus, if you're a Norwegian musician and if you're slightly good, the Norwegian Concert Institute, which is funded by the government, they polish you. They provide you funding to record, they provide you funding to perform, and then they take you on a tour. So see, that's the difference. We only get to do that if we become successful, and that chance is 1 in a million because look at the amount of people here. But the structure is so nicely put there that you don't have to struggle or become extremely commercialized or extremely popular to have the success that you need as a musician in Norway.
So that was quite a few years ago.
Many
Cut
many
back
years
to
ago.
20, many years ago. We don't want to reveal your age here, but um,
It's all right. I don't mind. Yeah.
I'm just joking around. But cut back to 2020. You know that you had that back then, and I
Mhm.
believe it stopped after a while. And then you have this collaboration with the Bangladeshi artists. So can you just tell me why there was that sort of time
Gap.
where nothing was happening? That gap that was there. I mean, there is
I
a
have
gap in
no
most
idea.
of the industry.
The last collaboration that I did in Norway was in 2011, which was once again one of the best experiences I've ever had. We were asked to play 24 school concerts, which meant like three schools every morning. Um, and what an experience that was. Those public schools are like five-star hotels, by the way.
Hmm.
Uh, and Really well managed. So they wanted to expose their own children plus the children of a lot of Pakistani immigrants
Hmm.
to the pop culture of Pakistan, not
Hmm.
the right wing culture which their parents keep
Hmm.
feeding them. So that's why we were invited with ponytails and a rock band singing all these songs. Uh, and the culmination was a huge event with the symphony orchestra. This was 2011, and it was a dream come true because I could never imagine fusion songs being played by a 56 piece symphony orchestra with all those violins and cellos. So it all
Wow.
happened to us. It was just amazing. And my friend Ingray, who is an exceptional music producer from the band Freed, she ended up working with the Norwegian Concert Institute, which is another name for the government funded organization that they have. And she made it all happen. During that during that time, um, there was an earthquake in Pakistan, and one some of the Pakistani people living there wanted us to raise funds and just play something to create some awareness. We did that. I think the Norwegian Institute did not like that, and it was a free event. We did not charge anything. Under the contract, we were not asked to do anything besides working with the Norwegian Concert Institute. But then we thought that, it's a great gesture. There's a freaking earthquake in Pakistan, a lot of people dead. We must do something. So I think that didn't go well. I'm not saying that's one reason why they did not call us after that. They were Since the band was together for almost 31 days in an apartment, and it's not easy for Pakistani men to get along because our egos are bigger than the second highest mountain, which is K2. So those egos did not go well, and those arguments and those fights got out. uh, and there was a lot of taunting, pointing fingers during this entire thing, which these Norwegians were not accustomed to because they do that at home and they
Mm.
don't bring it to the workplace.
Yeah.
But we were being extremely, not just, I'm not saying that I was an angel, but I was given the responsibility to lead not only the band but this entire project. So I was not only
Mhm.
working with Fusion, I was working with the Norwegian Concert Institute as their representative for Pakistan to get this whole thing done. So I think sometimes what happens is that if someone, and I don't call it getting attention, by the way, because that's a lot of hard work. People don't understand. People just feel that this guy is communicating with all these people and getting things done because I can communicate. That is what I've learned while traveling and while being on stage. That's the best thing that I could say about all these different experiences. That I, at a very young age, was very quiet and very shy, could not open up, could not talk, could not communicate. But music changed it all for me, especially the success with Fusion. And I'm good at communicating with people from all over the world because I open myself up. I don't hide. I don't you know I
Mm.
don't care what happens and what they think or judge. So that could have been one reason that we were getting into a lot of arguments amongst the band during that tour. Maybe it was too long. Maybe we were missing the sun because there were periods that there was no sun for like 1 week. So 3 in the morning would feel like 9 in the evening.
Mm.
Three in the
I
afternoon,
understand.
sorry, would feel like 9 in the evening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think after that, then Ramesh was asked to leave because he was not putting in a lot of effort, the kind of effort that the two of us were putting in. Then this new guy came, Khurram. We made an effort again. It was half-hearted. Things we I was concentrating on my own material because I realized that after that tour, actually after the tour the band was almost about to break because the two of us, Imu and I, had a really huge, big disagreement and extremely nasty fight. Uh, but we stayed on. We got things together, and things slowed down in Pakistan because for a long after Pervez Musharraf, Zardari's government, Pakistan People's Party, which is one of the leading political parties, has got a history of like 3-4 decades, came into power. And as soon as they came into power, what else came into power? Terrorism came into power with them. It was not their fault. Maybe it was a plot against them to weaken their strength. But they were bomb blasts, terrorist attacks, people being blown up all over Pakistan. It happened for a very long period of time, and the impact is still felt. That was so strong, and it was so brutal, so ugly, that the entire entertainment industry, especially the live performances, they came to a halt, and did not to date start the way it was going on in
Mm.
Musharraf's time, because
Yeah.
everything was shut down, people were scared. And then during all of that, narrative started changing from a liberal, progressive, soft image Pakistan to an extremely right wing approach, like uh, aligning thoughts and views with, I'm not going to say
with
the country,
hardliners.
with the hardliners, and every other person becoming extremely fundamental and about their views and approach. Things started changing. I think uh, it was just, and it's now grown to another extent. So it obviously has a huge impact on music, because music is about freedom. Music is about liberty. Music is about expression. Music is about not feeling scared about speaking your mind, acting the way you want to act, living the way you want to live, whichever way. Nobody should tell you how to live. No religion should be imposed on you. If you're religious, keep it to yourself. Nobody else needs it. But unfortunately, religion in Pakistan is used politically, like other parts of the world, also, not just Pakistan. So that, I think, had an impact, and slowly and gradually, after those bomb blasts and everything, the music industry did not stand up the way it was. And what took over? Soap operas, television series, because people would not go out and sit at home and enjoy.
Mm.
For a concert, you have to make an effort. You have to go get a
Yeah,
ticket,
you have
buy
to
a
go out
ticket.
and
You have to go out,
mm,
stand, wait in line, listen to some really good music. So the culture changed, and that culture was
mm,
not supported. And now what has happened, abhi, obviously because of the pandemic, things have completely stopped. But even before pandemic, I remember that Pakistan had like spells of events. So they would have events in November, December, and January, then stop because of the weather, or and then Ramzan comes, then you stop, then Muharram comes, and then you stop. So, and then opening up becomes a problem. So these things don't happen in any other part of the world. uh, it Even if it happens in other parts of the world, uh, the music industry does not suffer the way it suffers here. So you have to stop, you don't have to perform. And then events, then the music was becoming a part of food festivals rather than food becoming a part
just
of
being
a music
stand,
festival.
yeah,
Yeah.
or
So
just being
people would be,
standalone
yeah,
events.
people would be standing at a kiosk or a small sort of a desk, or a cabin where they would be eating a pizza or I don't know, tandoori chicken or pizza, and listening to music while eating, which is fine, but the emphasis was on food. So if
So
you
you're
look
not
at the
really
mindset,
listening. You're not really listening and enjoying the music.
so there is I'm not blaming the people here, because look at where they have been driven by the narrative, driven by you know influential elected people with power and influence, telling them what to do. Because if you look at the majority, uh, education is a big challenge. Forget about education, the exposure that they get is through digital mediums right now. So it is not a physical exposure. All right, you see everything that happens in the Western
Mm.
world, but you have constraints, you have these chains around you to act like that. All right. um, and I'm not saying that the values, I appreciate those Western values. I appreciate the value of freedom of a human being to think and act the way he or she wants to lead their lives, because they have to get up in the morning and plan
Mm.
things for themselves. So in a place like Pakistan, where you're told by political leaders, by religious leaders, how to lead your life, and the importance of religion in your life rather than the importance of education, the importance of ethics, the importance of values, the importance of freedom, the importance of entertainment or music or arts or science or physics. So all of these are forgotten. So in a society where only one thing is prevalent, uh, how can music become a success here? So, and music gives you an option to think and express yourself. And once a society starts expressing themselves and thinking beyond the normal and what is fed to them, there's going to be an anarchy here. and maybe that's why music is driven back. It's just like a, what can I say, you when you get french fries with a burger. All right, so music is the french fries and burger is just
Everything
the
else.
food, everything else. So
So,
it's,
no, sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
yeah, so it's sad. It's sad. It's extremely sad for someone like me who's seen how the industry was even pre Musharraf time, when people like Ali Haider, Sajad Ali, Vital Signs. Karachi was the hub. Karachi was the entertainment hub. We were. That's how. See, it's not just being inspired by uh, looking at my father. I was growing up and listening to bands. Uh, from one part of Karachi playing in another part of Karachi, and it was such a bright, wonderful city, and it has changed. I don't recognize it anymore.
So, my next and the final question would be, you've I know that you've taught at Napa. You have your own sessions in your own studio. You've been teaching students. Why? Well, why teach music then? If you think that it's
Money,
not.
money, man, money. Now, because you, like I said, uh, this music business in Pakistan is the most challenging work, one of the most challenging works. If anybody comes from abroad and does research, they will tell you that how challenging is getting a bunch of projects and working in Pakistan. It is not the way the society is, it's how the people have become, who are responsible in sharing work or creating opportunities. um, so teaching was, I wanted to do it because firstly I wanted another source of income, because as a producer, as a performer, this keeps fluctuating. It's so strange that uh, I mean, the white hair is also because of age, but all these white hairs are also because of the stress of getting no work. How would you pay your bills? And my child, and I got married, and all of that stuff. It was just too much. How would I pay my rent, feed myself, feed my family? I mean, my wife was sharing a lot of different things, but still, um, I had to find some work, and luckily, I was introduced to the vice chancellor, and the purpose was not teaching. The purpose was just doing like different projects, but they saw my communication skills with the students, and students were really happy around me. It was my first ever experience teaching at a university, because previously I taught at National Academy, but I was teaching guitars. I was not teaching sound design, location sound
Mhm.
design with music production. I had to read and educate myself also. So I took up the challenge because I was learning so many different terms and things that while working, you don't use those terms. You just do your work, right? You don't
Mm.
say, "Oh my God, I'm going to an." I mean, you would say, "I'm going to an ADR session," but you would just go, "I'm going for dubbing," right? So
Yeah.
what's the history, how it started. It was at that time was quite fascinating because it was new. A new world opened up. I used to go to a university full of like 8,000 students talking. It was a crazy vibe. I had like my own cabin. It was a media department, all creative, surrounded by creative people. The head of department was a woman who was a classical dancer, Kef Ghaznavi. She's an actress. Her husband is an artist. So all these crazy creative people were, gathered in one big hall, and it was such great energy. Even though in terms of economics, I did not make a lot of money because universities don't pay you to teach. It just doesn't. It's There's no comparison in terms of making money at a concert or a production project, but I was gaining experience. I was not only teaching, but I was learning. And that whole entire feel of being outside studio was great, because all my life I've been working in a studio, but I always had people around me. I had other musicians, but when I started my own work, I only had one assistant, and most of the times I ended up doing all the work. um, it felt quite claustrophobic at time, quite lonely, and I always needed an extension. So Napa was also like a way for me to get out of the studio and do something, meet people, teach, and come back. So it used to keep me extremely positive. And then when Ikra University started, that was a full time thing. I enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed it. I really enjoyed teaching.
Mm.
I hate teaching online. Uh, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
It doesn't have the same feel. So, what's the one piece of advice you would give to musicians who are starting out now in Pakistan or anywhere globally?
Oh, I'll just start with Pakistan. So yeah, I mean, you have to diversify. You have people right now who's people who are starting out should not only think that. I mean, if in one thing will never change, digital will become really big and then maybe disappear because that's how things are. One thing will never change. As a musician, you have to realize that if you want to be noticed, if you want to be, you know, if you want some sort of glory out of what you're doing, uh, instead of making like videos from your iPhone and taking a lot of pictures, you must concentrate on practicing, because music and guitar playing or any playing an instrument, you cannot be successful until and unless you spend hours and hours for years. You cannot. I mean, I play what I play right now, it has like 30 years, 35 years of practice, and practice collaborations, playing in studios, playing on stage, going through all these different cycles of life as a musician, as a session musician. You and I remember the first 10 years of my guitar playing, I did not do anything else. I just played for
No.
hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And that is the only way to improve. Even now, uh, when I don't play for 2, 3, 4, 5 days, and string instruments are very challenging, any string instrument, you feel that you need to practice to play a certain part of music. So yes, the first piece of advice is become extremely good so that you're unstoppable, so that nobody can question your playing, at least. um, Number two, keep an open mind. If you're playing one form of music, learn all these other different forms, because you can't rely on just one form of music. You have to play other forms, because you can be invited by a studio producer to play something, so you have to generate income. Number three, yes, diversify, learn, teach, do whatever the hell, organize events. These days online, but some places can be, can have audiences depending if it's like an open space. um, Number three, keep good relationships with people around you, in the music industry and otherwise. uh, what I've seen with musicians is that when they accomplish something, as in terms of the skill set, uh, they become slightly arrogant, which is really wrong, because it's just another job that you're doing. People go into space and come back, so you're not better than them and they're not better than you. So I think, yeah, just be true to yourself. Be true, and yes, be prepared for for a roller coaster ride. It's going to make you crazy. This music industry or being a musician, be prepared for that, because yes, one day it'll be exciting, and then another 10 days it won't be. So enjoy that excitement. Just take everything that you can from that excitement, because remember, uh, that will go down and then you rise up, then you go down, then you rise up, then you go down. It's just the way the world works. You can't be
Mm.
there all the time. Even people like Michael Jackson were not there throughout. It was like this up and down. It goes, it just comes and it goes, but it teaches you a lot.
Thank you so much, Shalom. It was wonderful talking to you. Um, and I wish you all the luck in the world. Thank you
Thank you
so
so much.
much.
Thank you. Thank you.